Last week, a guy named Mike reached out to us. He owns a small construction company, and back in the summer of 2019, he bought two brand new trucks, a Ford F-150 with the 5.0 Coyote, a Toyota Tundra with the 5.7. Same kind of work, small trailers, tools moving between job sites, a mix of highway and city driving, more than one driver behind the wheel over the years. 7 years later, both trucks are past 200,000 miles. Then Mike told me something that immediately got my attention. Somewhere along the way, both trucks had stranded his crew at least once. I asked him how many times. He just laughed and said he'd tell me later. That was enough for me. I'm RJ. 20 years working on Fords. So, I started looking at this the way I would if both these trucks rolled into my shop tomorrow. Based on how these trucks were used, here's what I'd expect to find. What repairs I'd expect along the way, what they'd likely cost, and which ones I'd actually buy. Both trucks were bought just a couple of months apart that same summer. Close enough that fuel prices, labor rates, and ownership costs stayed in the same world for both trucks. Same kind of job for both, hauling light trailers and tools between sites, highway and city driving depending on which job that week. More than one driver behind each wheel over 7 years, so this isn't one guy's habits deciding the outcome. The Ford 5.0 Coyote V8, 10-speed automatic, 206,000 miles. The Toyota 5.7 V8, 6-speed automatic, 201,000 miles. Same basic job, same era, close enough in mileage that neither truck gets an excuse today. Start with the engines, because that's usually where people expect this story to end. On the Coyote, the thing worth knowing about 2018 through 2020 trucks specifically is oil consumption. Under certain deceleration conditions, high intake vacuum could pull more oil into the combustion chamber than Ford intended, drawn in from the crankcase and valve guide area rather than any single obvious leak. Ford's fix was a software recalibration and a revised dipstick that reads the level more accurately. If it was addressed early, it usually becomes something I'd monitor rather than something that scares me. If it wasn't, the real danger is letting that level get low enough, often enough, that the bottom end starts paying for it. On the 5.7, the story after 200,000 miles isn't in the bottom end at all. Toyota's V8 has one of the best reputations in the business for internals staying tight, bearings and cylinder walls holding up well past this kind of mileage without much drama. It's earned that reputation honestly. Where I'd expect a Tundra like this to show its age is up top, not down low. Toyota seals the camshaft towers with a formed sealant instead of a gasket, and on higher mileage trucks that sealant starts to weep over time. Oil finds its way down into the exhaust manifold, and the first sign most owners notice isn't a puddle on the driveway, it's a faint burning smell after a longer drive. Not a bottom end failure, just an annoying leak that takes a major top end teardown to reseal properly, which is exactly why the labor bill gets ugly fast. Neither engine ever scared Mike enough to think about replacing a truck outright. Neither one started smoking, neither one lost real power, neither one gave him a reason to question keeping it another year. Whatever these two engines were dealing with, it stayed quiet enough that a crew boss with a schedule to keep never had to think twice about starting either one. Neither engine is falling apart at this mileage, but if I'm being honest about which one gives me fewer things to think about, it's the Toyota. Now the transmissions. And this is where the gap gets wider, not closer. The 10-speed behind that Coyote has a well-documented history of harsh and delayed shifting, especially in the first couple of years after Ford introduced it. Sometimes it's calibration, sometimes it's the main control, sometimes the repair goes deeper than either of those. It shows up as a hesitation before a shift, or a shift that lands harder than it should, the kind of thing an owner notices but can't quite explain. The fix path starts with a recalibration run through the truck's own computer, and if that doesn't clear it up, it escalates from there. The Tundra's 6-speed doesn't carry the same documented pattern of shift quality complaints and calibration chasing that follows the Ford's 10-speed. Fewer gears, simpler hydraulics, a design that was already mature by 2019. If I stop the comparison right here, the Toyota wins, outright. A simpler engine story on top, and a transmission with a much cleaner track record than the one behind that Coyote. At this point, I thought Toyota had it won. Picking a good used truck at 200,000 miles isn't about finding the one with zero problems. It's about knowing which problems to expect and what they're worth catching early. That's exactly why we built the Ford Longevity Checklist, free at Fordscope.com. The same questions I'd ask about any high-mileage Ford before I'd recommend buying or keeping one. Here's where the story most people stop telling starts to matter. That cam tower leak on the Tundra doesn't come with a quick fix. Because Tundra uses that formed sealant instead of a gasket, resealing it properly means a major top-end teardown, not just wiping down a surface and calling it done. I've seen these jobs land north of $3,000 depending on labor rate and how far the leak has progressed by the time somebody finally addresses it. There's a separate story on 2018 and 2019 Tundras specifically. A low-pressure fuel pump that Toyota ended up recalling on close to 2 million vehicles across the lineup. The pump can quietly fail. The truck runs rough, and in some cases it stalls and won't restart. No warning beyond a dashboard light most owners wouldn't think twice about. If Mike had told me the Tundra was the truck that stranded one of his guys on the side of the road, this is exactly where I'd start looking first, before touching anything else on the truck. Put that next to the Ford. The oil consumption fix is a software update. No parts, no teardown. A valve body level repair on that 10-speed can land in the low thousands. If the problem goes deeper than that, so does the bill, but it's still nothing that requires pulling a cylinder head off the truck. And if Mike told me the Ford was the one that started banging into gear one morning and kept getting worse, that pattern would make me suspicious of the transmission before I looked anywhere else. The Toyota didn't lose the engine, it didn't lose the transmission, it's losing this round for a completely different reason. Now the number nobody argues about because it shows up every single week for 7 years instead of once. A 5.7 Tundra in mixed use like this is realistically getting somewhere around 13 miles per gallon. The Coyote, in the same kind of driving, is closer to 16. That's not a rounding error over 200,000 miles. 7 years, every fill up, every week, on the way to a job site or on the way back from one. Nobody stands at the pump doing math on a Tuesday afternoon. You just pay it and drive off. It's the easiest ownership cost there is to ignore because it never shows up as one big number. It happens a few dollars at a time. That's exactly why this gets left out of almost every comparison like this one, right up until somebody actually adds up 7 years of Tuesdays. Using realistic mixed-use averages, somewhere around 16 for the Ford and 13 for the Tundra, and running that through average gas prices across those 7 years, the gap lands somewhere in the neighborhood of $8,000 in fuel alone, just for doing the same job on the same routes with the same trailers. Toyota can win the engine, Toyota can win the transmission, and Ford can still be the cheaper truck to own because nobody adds up what they spent at the pump until somebody makes them. Mike didn't say each truck let a driver down just once. When I actually asked him to count, the number was uglier than either of us expected. 7 years in, Tundra, 3 tow trucks, Ford, 2. The Toyota's 3 came twice in year 2 and once more in year 4. The Ford's 2 both happened within about 6 months of each other in year 3. On a construction company, downtime isn't just annoying. Every hour a truck sits waiting on a tow truck is an hour somebody isn't working, and somebody's still getting paid to stand around. If those 2 Toyota breakdowns in year 2 and year 4 happened before the recall fix was completed, the fuel pump would be one of the first things I'd suspect for both of them. The third one, honestly, nobody ever pinned down cleanly, and I'm not going to pretend I can diagnose a truck I never had on my own lift. The Ford's pattern would absolutely make me suspicious of that 10-speed, especially the main control. And 2 incidents, 6 months apart, lines up with something getting worse before somebody finally addressed it. But without the actual repair order in hand, I'm not going to tell you that's confirmed to be what stranded it. 3 tow trucks against 2 isn't a small gap, but it's not the whole story either, because the size of the bill still matters as much as how many times the phone rang. Line up what we know and what these trucks typically ask for by this mileage. Engine, Toyota. Transmission, Toyota, and it's not close. Fuel, Ford, by a wide enough margin that changed the whole conversation. If this were purely a drivetrain longevity contest, I'd give it to Toyota, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. But that's not how a work truck actually earns its money. So which one's the clear winner? Honestly, I didn't expect to land here either. As an ownership decision, if it were my own money and I was keeping this truck another 7 years, I'd take the Ford. Not because the Coyote can beat the 5.7. It didn't. Not because that 10-speed is somehow better than the Toyota's transmission. It isn't. I'd take it because when you actually add up what both trucks cost to keep on the road, fuel included, the Ford wins the one category that touches your bank account every single week for 7 straight years. Not just the year something breaks. That's the thing about reliability that most comparisons skip. It's not just about which truck breaks less. It's about which truck costs you money quietly, every single day, whether anything's wrong with it or not. A great engine and a great transmission doesn't mean much if the truck's still draining your account at the pump the whole time it's running perfectly. Anybody can compare horsepower for 5 minutes in a parking lot. Living with a truck for 7 years is a completely different comparison, and that's the one that actually decides which truck was worth buying. That's not a knock on the Tundra. It's one of the best engines Toyota's ever built. It's just not the whole story. Before Mike hung up, I asked him one more question. After 7 years with both trucks, which one would he buy again? He laughed and said honestly, he'd probably buy another Ram. If this video helped you keep a little more money in your pocket and you'd like to support the channel, hit the join button below. I'll see you in the next one.